Hi there, this is Wayne from Bit Repairs. Thanks for joining me again for another iPhone repair. This is an iPhone 5S that's been sent in for a charge IC replacement, also known as U2, Tristar, and a load of other things that people decide to call it. So here we go, straight onto our camera view. Just got to take the board out. This is the phone that we're going to be looking at today. Let's just turn this down a bit first. There we go. See that much better now. So this is our device. So what we'll notice first, there's no screen on it. They've taken the screen off and just provided the case. I'll just verify first. I'll plug the power in, and then we'll have a quick look on here. We're drawing 0 amps, so we're not drawing anything at all. Apparently they've tried a new charge port, tried a new battery, and it's still not doing anything. So let's start by getting this board out of here. So boards on these, let's just take the battery out first. So unscrew the battery cover connector. That one there. That one there. As I've said before, always unplug the battery first. Prefer to use my fingernails for these jobs. I find my fingernails are far less destructive, so always use my fingernails. It stops me from biting them as well, so bonus all around. And take these two screws out here. Again, as you can see, I'm putting everything in the right order. Get the SIM tray out there, stick that at the bottom. Okay. We just need to get these standoff screws. Where's my screwdriver for that? So let's get these two standoffs out. One down there. Put that next to that screw. One down here. Put that next to that screw. So we're laying them all out in a nice order so we know where they all come from. I was in the car the other day, actually no, this morning, and a phone fell on top of one of my magnet pads that I had. Actually, it was the iPhone 7 Plus that I'd done in the last video. What a nightmare. The other phone that was with it in the box as I was delivering it to the customer to go and try a new screen, it fell on top of the screw pile and mushed them all up. So that took me forever to figure out where they went, because as you'll remember me saying, I'm not 100% au fait with the location of the screws on the 7 Plus, so I can't just easily go, yeah, that one's there, that one's there, that one's there, that one's there. But like the 6, I can just kind of, it doesn't really matter if I put them in the right place on the pad anymore. So right, so you just need to get this screw out up here. Yep, that's no good. Let's use this screwdriver. That's a tight one, that one, at the top. It's tight. Tight like a tiger. Where did I get that one from? Can't remember. Anyway, swiftly moving on. So we get the board out of here. Gently persuade it out. Just forgot to unplug the camera up there. Gently persuade that board out. Turn it over. Make sure you unplug that antenna off the side there. You also notice a small piece of metal in here that always falls out from up top there. So just make sure that goes back in place again before you do your reassembly. Just use my tweezers to push that back up again. First time I did this and I seen that small piece of metal, it's like, what on earth is that, and where did it come from? And it's just up there, it's just a tiny piece of metal up at the top here, and it goes just underneath that little screw at the top. You can't see that, can you? There we go, just underneath that screw at the top. Goes underneath there, so I'm going to put that to one side now, back in the customer's box. So every customer has a box for me. Okay, so we'll put the board on there. Okay, So that's the board out. I'm going to have to turn this light on now because I really need to see what I'm doing. Okay, as usual, we always take off all of the protective bitsy bobsies and we put that next to the battery. See, what I do is I put it there next to the battery, that little bit of plastic, and the reason being is because if I don't put it there, I'll not end up putting it back on again. This little piece down here, that also comes off. That'll melt up into a horrible little gooey mess. I don't bother putting that back on again, in all fairness. I don't know what it does. I'm sure they've put it there for a reason, but not reason to me. And that little one at the top there, they have to come off because if you don't take them off, they just end up in a big mushy mess. I also take off, there's a little piece of foam down here, down at the bottom, there's a little tiny piece of foam. Just get that piece of foam off. Just get rid of it, because as soon as you apply heat to it, it's just going to turn into a horrible mush. So you just get rid of them now, and they don't cause any problems later. So what we've done now, we've got the board. Right, the charge IC is down here, somewhere around, yeah, here I think, somewhere around there. So what we need to do is we need to take this whole plate off the back. I'm going to turn my heat plate on now, lowest setting, and I'm going to just attach this board to the bench. Sorry about that, my finger just touched the microphone. Oh, actually, one thing I did forget is on the side of here, on the side going down, I don't know whether you can see it on camera, you've got this antenna cable running all the way down. Before we take this off, we really do need to just get rid of that antenna cable first. Okay, that's off. That also goes in the case next to the battery. If I put all those bits there, I'm not going to forget to put them back into the foam before I put the board in, because it's a nightmare when you get to putting the board back in and you go, oh no, I forgot to put the antenna in. It's horrible. So there we go. I'll just attach that down lightly at this end. Try not to bend the board. All we're doing is we're just tacking it down a bit to stop it from lifting up. Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to get some hot air on. That should be nicely preheating now. So it'll be preheating up to about 100 degrees. Our hot air is going to go on at 340, I'm going to put it on. So let's move that to one side. Get our tweezers. And all we're going to do, we're going to apply some hot air to this now. That's plenty warm enough. So I'm going to apply some hot air evenly over it. Evenly over it, just to warm it up again first. Okay. Like that. Evenly over. And then we're going to start concentrating on the end here now. Okay. We're not forcing it up. All we're doing is, there we go, I just felt that click. So that was the solder releasing. Okay. As soon as I feel the solder release from that area, I move up to the next bit, just around again. You can't melt this whole plate at once, so you have to work your way along. Okay. Just try and let you see this better on camera. There we go, it's just clicking off slowly. So all I'm doing, I'm working my way down from top to bottom, heating this shield up, waiting for the clicks, waiting for the click, click, click. There we go, click, 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 and then it comes off. Try not to rub it along the components as it comes off. Try and take it off cleanly. Okay, so that's that big plate off there. Make sure it's nice and straight. because that's going back on again, that plate. Some people don't put them back on again. I put every shield back onto these devices. Every single shield goes back on. Right, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to switch to microscope view on this, and I'm going to show you which IC we're about to remove from the board. So switch over to microscope. Let me try and get you a nice view. And here we are. There it is. Right, let's turn the brightness up. Get our focus. Wrong way, Wayne. There we go, look at that. Don't know how well you can see that on camera. Let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. 1610A1. Hello, charge IC. So you're the one that's dead. So you'll notice there's no underfill on that. Nothing around it. So what we have to do now is we'll get some flux on there. I'm just going to put some flux over the top of it now. Okay. Like that. There we go. Some nice flux. It's going to help it melt. Going to help that solder melt so I can get that off in one fell swoop. So I'm going to put the temperature up now a little bit more. Going to go 350 now. Right. Now, I'd love to show you this on microscope view and how it happens, but I can't because I can't do this nice and cleanly on a customer's phone with only one eye. I need to be able to see depth. So I'm going to switch back again to this view, and we're going to switch so I can see both eyes. And you're going to have exactly the same area, but what you're seeing is you're going to see me heat the component up. As soon as you heat it up, I need to get some business cards because my hand's going to burn. Okay. Okay. So as soon as you see it's going to start heating up, and I'm going to give it a nudge. When you see it's moving, there we go. When you see it's moving, you grab it with your tweezers as gently as possible. I'm going to switch that microscope view back on again so you can see. There we go, there's the pads that I've just taken off. So you can see that's beautiful. So I've just got the IC there. There it is. And all I've done is, as it's heated up, I've given it a nudge, I can see it's moving, and I grab it and pull it directly up. If you pull this directly up, and you don't get any horrible marks all over the place, then you're going to end up with a nice, easy, quick repair. If you were to pull that sideways, and you end up with some pads shorted out, or you end up with a load more work for yourself. So you can see all of them pads are the same size. They're all fine. Absolutely perfect they are. So if I zoom right the way in, okay, I can see all of them pads are a nice size. Now what I could do is I could now go and I could get rid of all of the solder off them and put fresh solder on. Now, there's a choice here now. If you believe that you can get a nice bond straight back onto them again, and you can get a chip straight on, you can save yourself some time here. So, I feel that that's enough for me to risk it, to go for it, I think. To just put a chip straight back on top of it. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you look at them and one's smaller than another, one's a massive big lump. So I'm just cleaning it up with some IPA now, some isopropyl alcohol. Okay. Make sure there's no bits around there. So I'm going to put some flux on now. I'm just going to clean up my flux because I don't want to have bits all over the end that I can get on this board. I just want a nice clean board for when this solder goes on. For when this flux goes on, sorry. I need some nice clean flux for when this goes on. Don't want any horrible bits in it. So it's going to block this from going where it's supposed to go. So that's a nice little bit of flux. So I'm going to grab a fresh charge IC now. Okay, going to grab a fresh charge IC and I'm just going to plop it out here onto the bench. I think I just lost one then. I'm sure I just lost a charge IC then. Anyway, we'll look for that later. We might find it, we might never find it. So I'm just going to turn this over, right? And what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to make sure I've got the correct orientation. So I noted before we started, I've done it without even thinking actually, I didn't mention it to you. I noted in the top left corner here that there was a little dot. So that's where the dot's going to stay. So I just scratched the board a little bit. You'll be able to see there, just there, I've just scratched the board. So that's me just... Okay, get this camera right in the back place again. Okay, there we go. Should be able to see that now. Right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this IC down. Okay, get it in roughly in the right place. Okay, roughly in the right place now. Now we're holding it in place now. We're holding it in place. You see that on camera? We're holding it in place on the board. Okay. So now let's heat this up again. Okay. I've only heated it slightly. I've heated it enough just to tack it into place. Okay? Because I don't want to be holding this when it's finding its own way. While it's finding its place on the... While it's finding its place in the world, I do not want to be holding on to this because I want to let it do its own movement. So, I'm just going to heat it up again now. And I'm ready here in a minute to give it a nice little nudge. See, it's just popped over. It's moving its own way. I'm just giving it a nudge then. Okay, you notice when I nudge it, it nudges back. It goes back to where it came from. It didn't stay where it was when I nudged it. If you nudge it, it should nudge and come back to where it came from. Okay? That's what you're looking for. So, that there. Just going to wait for that to cool down a little bit. I'm happy with that now. Turn my hot air off. Okay. So I think that's cooled down enough now. I'm just going to get some IPA. Rub it around the area. Okay. Rub it around. We're just cleaning off all that flux residue that we had on there. It is no clean flux, but still, it's nice to clean it all off there. It's nice to get rid of what your mess that you've made. Okay, so you're just cleaning all of this flux off. Clean it all up, give it a good spring clean. Right, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to turn the cooler on this. Okay. You notice on this one I didn't use any Kapton tape to kind of protect the area. I don't use it because it's kind of a bit out in the middle of nowhere, this one. It's right next to a screw hole, so there's a good ground plane there next to it. There's nothing else really that's going to be hugely affected by it. So I've never had a problem with just doing this without I've never had a problem with doing this without any kind of tape to protect it. So what I'm going to do now is we're just going to zoom out again here, and I'm going to put the board on its side now. Okay, and we're just going to check them balls underneath there. Going to see if we can see them. We just want to make sure that they're all individual. Okay. We want to make sure we've got lots of nice individual solder balls instead of okay, what I'm seeing here is what can go wrong sometimes. Now I think we've got a short underneath there. See? Right underneath there, I think there's a short. I've zoomed in quite far, so I don't think you can see that on camera, but see there on that pin, on that corner pin? I think we've got a short. Right, so this is what can happen if you don't clean them pads up. So, I was wrong on this occasion. I should. I've got rid of that solder residue off of them pads first, because now I'm going to have to waste an IC, waste time, all because I didn't clean that off. It's unfortunate because you can get away with it quite regularly. You can do it and it's absolutely fine. No problems at all. On this occasion though, I've not got away with it. Gonna have to take this IC off and I'll show you the other way of doing it as well. I suppose it's good in a way because you get to see what can go wrong on a job like this. Okay. Okay, that's back off again now. Doesn't look like that's shorting out. Let's just stick that IC back on again. Okay. It's just finding its way. Okay, let's try that. I haven't actually put a new IC on there. All I've done, took it off, put it back on again. Okay, just taking it off and put it straight back on again. Am I wasting my time doing this? Or have I just saved myself? Okay, we've not got a short this time. You can see there on that. Have we? This really is difficult to get focus on. I don't believe there is. Let me just have a look while I can see full view here. Let me switch over to the other view. Okay. Turn off that hot air. I can see real depth now on this. So I can see properly how it is. Yeah, I think we're okay on that. Okay, we're looking pretty good on that board now. I'm just going to push that back out of the way and I'm going to look at it from the other side. Yeah, I'm fairly happy with that now. If you have a little look at this now, I'll just show you the microscope view. I'll show you that view from the side. Quite impressed with that. Okay, let's see if we can get that. What we're looking for here, there we go. Can you see that in focus now? There we go. There's all them nice balls all the way along. Okay. There they are. All looking good. All looking good. Right. Happy with that now. Okay. I'm just going to check on here if I go on to ZXW tools and I'll pull up an iPhone. Okay. And here we're going to pull up an iPhone 5S. Okay. So here's the IC that I've just replaced. Down here, U2. So see there, that's the pin that I was worried about here. So you can see that that's U2F1 and U2F2. So they're the two pins I was worried about a little bit to being shorted out. What I could do is see if they can be found elsewhere on the board. So that one goes straight under the CPU. So I ain't going to find that anywhere. And this one goes straight under the CPU. So that ain't going to be found anywhere either. So that's a bit of a tricky one, that, to see if they're definitely shorting out or not. But you know, to do a little test, I'm fairly confident now that they're not shorting out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this board. I'm just going to go back onto here, turn off ZXW tools. I'm going to have a look at this board now. Okay. I'm going to put it back in its housing. Okay, I'm going to put it in its housing here. Just there. Okay. There we are. So that's back in. It's not going to stay in there now. I'm just putting it in here to test. So, done that. Just going to plug the charge port back in again. Sorry, I'm not on camera there. Bloody nightmare getting the alignment on these. In fact, I sometimes prefer to do them under the microscope. It's so much easier to get the alignment on these. Ta-da! There we go. Do you know what, these people that have to put these in to do screen repairs that haven't got a microscope, I truly feel for you. Because you get so much more of a view when you're doing it like this. So, right, I'm just going to plug that battery in now. So the battery's plugged in. Okay, oh, let's just unplug the battery, because I just want to plug the power button in as well. I don't really need to, because I'm going to prompt it to boot with USB. There we go. So what I'm going to do now is plug the power cable in at the bottom, and let's see what we're getting. So here, can you see that? So we're drawing 0.11, no, 0.11. It's before we were drawing 0, 0.10. Okay. So we were drawing absolutely nothing before. It was just blank. It was just nothing on it at all. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to unplug this. I'm going to unplug the battery. I'm just going to get my test screen. I'm going to plug my test screen into here. If it'll go in. I really do despise the screen connector on an iPhone 5S. The whole 5 series, really, I despise them all. I think that might have been in then. But okay. There we go. That's in. Put that one in so it's not flapping around. Plug the power in again. I'm just going to see what we get, whether we get battery or whether we get what we get on here. There we go. So we've got battery. See that now? So we had absolutely nothing before, no current being drawn at all. So I think potentially that it's going to start charging that battery quite slowly. It's probably quite a low voltage on that battery at the moment. It's going to start charging it nice and slowly. Once it's got a nice little charge in there, there we go. So you'll see now it's just shot up. It's just shot up to 0.92, 0.94, 0.9. There we go. So we've got proper charging now on there on that phone. So that's it. That's the repair complete from a micro soldering perspective, anyway. So it's ready now to be reassembled. So what we'll have to do now is put that back on there. What we've got to do now is take this board back out of here. I'm not going to do, I suppose I'll do some of this on camera. I'll show you how it's done. So we're just going to disconnect all of these, get this board back out again. Because that's kind of it's the repair done, but it's not the job done. Because now we've got to get this plate back on again. See? We've got a plate that's off the board. So even though the actual phone is fixed, you've still got some time now to reassemble the thing. You know, save myself some time with the not having to redo them balls. So that was a bonus. I'll show you this on camera actually, what we're doing here. On the microscope, there we go. Let's get that in focus. There we go. So what we're doing now is just on the edges here. So all we're doing is we're getting a little tiny bit of flux and we're just dabbing it on all of these. See all of these edges here, we're just dabbing it, dabbing a bit of flux on, dabbing a bit of flux. Tiny bit, we don't need much on. All we need, just enough, so that when we come along with our soldering iron to reattach this plate, it reattaches nice and easily instead of being an absolute nightmare to reattach. That's all we're doing, we're just tiny bit of flux all the way along. Tiny bit of flux all the way along on here. There we go. So I think we finish with that now. So we just flux that up all the way along. I don't use heat. I do not use heat to get this plate back on again. Well, I do. I use the soldering iron, but I don't use hot air, is what I'm trying to say. What we're trying to do with this is we're trying to get this plate back on without subjecting the board to more heat than it has to be subjected to. You know, it's already had quite a battering with the hot air, so we don't really want to give it more of a shock. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to start up here. We're going to check the alignment first. There we go. Going to get our soldering iron. Give it a good dab. Okay. Just going to make sure that's okay. It's okay. Just checking my alignment here. I thought I'd just touched one of those components on the top side, so it's imperative that here it's very dangerous little area. Okay, so all I'm doing, I'm just going to run along here now, that bit there. I'll run along here, see what I'm doing. Just tacking it back into place again. Doesn't matter if they all don't take, just want to get as many of them as we can to take. Okay, go on to here. So you notice I'm not using the microscope for this. This is positively humongous. In comparison to what I'm used to working on under the microscope, so I know there's nothing I can damage here, so I'm okay, I'm happy with it. Okay, that's okay there, it's all tacked on. So just going along, we're tacking them all back on again. The reason they are tacking on quite so nicely is because I've applied that flux first. So, you know, if I didn't put this flux on first, this would not be as easy. I guarantee this wouldn't be as easy. There we go. So we've reapplied that plate there now. Just got the plate on. What we need to do now, we need to get our antenna back in place again. Let's turn the board over. I love doing this under the microscope. It's so much easier. There we go. So I'll give you a bit of a view here. So microscope, you can see what I'm seeing now. Okay, so I'm just going to go here. Get that back onto there. Just stab myself with my tweezers. Okay, that goes in. Slots in there. Slots down there. Slots in there. Slots in there. Slots down there. Kind of alternates. Goes up and down and up and down. And then right at the end, we get this one in here. Sometimes it's ended up a little bit short. There we go. Okay, so that's back in place again. Get our little piece of thingy-majingly. Yahoozy Watsy sticker. There we go. Stick that back on again. Show you that on camera. Here. Here, there you go. Stick that sticker back on again there, just to protect that circuit. Like I said, I don't put the other ones back on again. So that's ready there. Right, what we're going to do now is we're ready here with this. With the case. I'm just going to put that little thing back in again. Just our little piece of metal, if you remember from before, that flew out. Do you know, sometimes it actually stays in place, this does. Urgh. Stay where you're supposed to. If someone could actually tell me why sometimes this stays where it should stay and sometimes it flings out and goes all over the board, I'd really appreciate it. Because I really don't understand why some phones are an absolute and some just, it never budges. So I'm just going to clip the antenna back in again here. Okay, it's the antenna clip back in again. Slot our board back in again down here. There we go. Slot our board in. Make sure that little flex isn't stuck underneath the board. Make sure none of these are stuck under the board. Make sure the antenna cable underneath isn't stuck under the board. Basically make sure nothing's stuck under the board, because if something's stuck under that board, it won't go back in place. Okay, you'll know when it's in place because it won't push down, it won't flex, it won't go anywhere. It'll just be a nice snug fit. These are so well engineered with regards to tolerances and where things are supposed to go. So if something's wrong, you'll almost immediately know about it. So let's get that antenna back in place again down here. Okay, it's the antenna back in place. So that there is almost how I received this phone. Put the SIM tray back in again now. You know the board's flat. SIM tray goes in nicely. SIM tray just slots in nicely. Let me get these screws again. Okay, so screws here. Let me get these the right way. I might as well finish off and show you everything. Start to finish. Okay, so this one's going to go in here. Okay. This screw at the top. It's going to go in nice at the top there. Okay, nice in place. It's the wrong screwdriver for it, so it's this. It's the standoff screwdriver and it's rounded off a bit at the end, so it doesn't quite go in right. This one's just going to go open at the top right. Okay. One thing I will say is not that many screws in this one. I'm really happy with the 5S as to regards how many screws there are. So that just goes into there. Another screw into there. Okay. We've got these two standoffs to go back on again. One standoff down here. So two standoffs of where the battery connector goes. The battery cover. Okay. That's it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to check everything's pushed back into place. Stick that piece of sticky stuff back over there again. Right. And as before, as always, we test again. Now this phone's back together again. We test. Turn my soldering iron off there. We test. So we've tested it initially to make sure that it's working after the change of the... So we test it after we've changed the charge IC. Make sure that it's not faulty. And then we test it again now. So what we're going to do, we're just going to plug this back in again now. We're going to test again. Because everything's back together, everything's as it should be. We just want to make sure we're still going to get battery logo. See there? Battery logo. So the battery's charging. We're pulling... Oh, come on, pick it up. There we go. We're pulling 0.91 amps on this. So we're happy there. We have charge. Coming up saying to plug in again. I'm happy with that repair. So that's the U2 IC changed. Tristar changed on an iPhone 5S. What we did first of all then, just to go through it again, I'm just going to plug the battery back in again for the customer because that's how it was when it arrived, and I'm going to put this plate on. I'm going to explain to you how I've done it whilst I'm putting this plate back on again. So yeah, what we did was we tested first of all to make sure that it definitely wasn't drawing power. So it wasn't drawing any power. After we tested it wasn't drawing any power, we went straight for Tristar because I knew that they'd tried a new battery, they've tried a new charge port, they've tried a new screen. The shop that sends me these items haven't just sent it straight to me having tried nothing. They've tried as much as they can try and then they've given up and then they send it to me. So I know pretty much that this is going to be Tristar. So then I've gone in, took the plate off, put Tristar back on. Took Tristar off. I've not cleaned the pads up because they all looked like they were level. Then I've put the new Tristar back on again. Had a look at it. Wasn't very happy with how it was. I thought it may have been shorting out on that pin on F1 to F2. So I've then took the chip back off again. Checked the pads. They weren't shorting out after I took it off. So I've put it straight back on again because the IC wasn't shorting out either. And then I've had a good look, and then I was sure that nothing was shorting out. So I was happy there, put it all back together, tested, and now it can go back in the bag. It can go back to the customer. There we are. It can go straight back to the customer now, repaired. And hopefully, if they don't use cheap chargers, this will last for a long time to come. This customer actually, I think, if I remember right, was saying that why do you charge so much for a U2 IC replacement? And the reason being is because this has just taken me an hour to do that repair. An hour. I've got equipment here that you can see. I've got a lot of equipment that you need to buy to do this repair. You can't just go, oh yeah, I'm going to do this repair. I'm going to do it myself. Well, if you do, you're going to have to send it off to me shortly after because you will ruin your phone. And I probably won't be able to fix it after you've done this, depending on how badly you've damaged it. So yeah, there we go. That's why it's a costly repair sometimes. It's not a quick repair. It involves a lot of skill. It's not just like replacing a backlight filter where you can just jumper it if you really want to. If you want to be so brutal as to just jumper the filter. It's got to be done properly. It should be done properly. There's a lot of skill goes into this, and you know, I've been doing electronics, microelectronics. I've been learning it for a long time. So it's something that's you've just got to kind of understand that this is why it costs so much. It is an involved job. It's not just a let's open the screen, 5-minute job, close the screen. It takes 5 minutes to disassemble and reassemble the phone. So anyway, enough of my little rant. There we go. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you've all learnt something. I hope you've all at least thought, well, can I do this myself? Do I have to send this off? If you've got this equipment, if you've got a hot air gun soldering station, if you've got the ICs, you know, you could probably give it a go yourself if you are competent enough in soldering. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention one other thing. You need a ruddy big microscope, because if you attempt to do this without a microscope, you will break your phone. It's true, honestly. So yeah, it's if you've got those things, not just a USB microscope, because I struggle to take a video and do the repair at the same time, because I can't see 3D when I've got the video feed switched on. It shuts off one of my eyes, so I can't get depth perception. So that's why I switched the camera off to do the actual IC removal at one point, because I didn't want to mess it up. And if you've got a USB camera, you're going to mess it up. You're not going to be able to see depth. And if you get it wrong, this is where these other bits of kit come in. This is where your bench power supply comes in, your bench multimeter, sometimes your oscilloscope. You've got to have these bits of kit if you're going to be a professional microelectronic engineer. So thanks very much for watching again, everyone, and please like, subscribe, comment on the video. If you've got any questions, please feel free to just add them down below, and I'll do my best to respond to them and help you out if you've got anything that needs some advice on. Yeah, so please visit the website www.bitrepairs.com. I'm always adding to it. I'm looking for any kind of advice on other items to do. It's not just charge ICs I do. It's not even just iPhones. I do iPads. I've got some PS4s to do here with HDMI port replacements. All sorts of stuff, really. It's so diverse. So thanks very much for watching again anyway, and I hope you all have a good day. And if you're a repair shop, then you know, I hope you all have good repairs, and I hope they all go well. Thanks, and speak to you again soon. Bye.